Welcome to the Money Making Money podcast
Right on.
with our hosts, George Aplicano, Albert Ceja, and Mark Anderson. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Go ahead, George.
Give
me to
a
take
little
it?
history of yourselves. There
Okay,
we go.
sure. So welcome to the Money Making Money podcast. And I think it should be Mark the Great.
The
Yeah,
great.
yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
Right? Like that. All right. So my name is George Aplicano. I'm a wholesaler out here in the Phoenix area. And been doing wholesaling for about 2.5, 3 years or so. And prior to that, I was doing home mortgages, right? So home loans and doing all that, right? Come to find out, while I was doing home loans, there were sorry about that. Yeah, you ruined the sound, man.
It was like right.
Sip that coffee. No, we're gonna
We're
stay
keeping
on
that
it
in.
for a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
just focus on that right now, right? So did mortgages for 20 years. Noticed towards the end of my my change in my career that I was starting to do a lot of loans for people who were doing lease options, and they were changing their hard money loans into traditional loans. And so what had happened from there is that I started to dive a little bit deeper into why these were happening. I was looking at the end investor and what they were making on those deals, and I was like, that's interesting. So started to dig a little deeper. Found out wholesaling was part of how they did that and was the basis of it. And read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Once I started that started my career in wholesaling. So just to kind of give you an idea.
So my name is Albert Ceja. I'm actually a licensed real estate agent, and I've been licensed real estate agent for about going on 5 years. Prior to that, was in the lending industry. That's how I know George, and did that for about 15 years. And I've been doing also the wholesaling aspect of it for about 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years, and podcasting as well.
Podcasting.
Just kidding. So I've been been in the industry for a while, and made the jump to the real estate part about going on 5 years now.
I'm Mark Anderson. I'm fairly new to the real estate game. I've been in the mortgage industry for about 15 years too. 10 of those I have worked on and off with Albert directly in the mortgage field. Just recently quit my job, obtained my real estate license, and joined these guys and their forces into help building up wholesale and the retail part of a real estate team.
Well, we're more than happy to have you.
Okay.
And welcome to the team.
That's not a robot.
Right.
Right.
So awesome. And you're going to see the growth, right?
Yeah.
I want to
Yes.
point that out. That's this is great because
Perfect.
we have somebody that's starting off right now in this business, and
We'll
hopefully
see. Yeah.
you'll see what kind of growth that we have and successes that he's having, some of the things that he's going to learn. Obviously it's going to be a lot, and and we're going to share all that success, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
So with the podcast, each episode we have, we'll pick a certain topic within the real estate game, mainly wholesale. This episode, we are going to start with, as a beginner, where do you start with wholesaling?
Okay. Do you want to start off?
Sure. Well, the first step is knowing. Reading. Doing a lot of reading on the wholesaling.
Okay.
So one
research.
of the great research. Yeah, one of the great books that George mentioned, George mentioned was the Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
That one too.
Yeah, that's a great book. But the other one was Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I've read a few times as well as Think and Grow Rich. But definitely make sure that's something that you want to do. We do get a lot of stuff from gurus saying, come to these events and you'll get rich in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hustle, and it's hard work, dedication. But yeah, do your research on wholesaling. We'll talk a little bit about what it consists of, but definitely we will be talking from our experiences. Do your research on it and see if it's something that you're willing to go and get into.
So from my point of view, right? So I start off. Right, what is wholesaling, right? What is that, right? Most people, it's a term, right? But I'm going to give you guys what it actually means. If you guys look up, go to any search engine or whatever and just put arbitrage, it's a fancy word for basically making a spread, right? So you buy something low, you sell it off a little bit higher, right? And you make the difference. Right?
Okay.
So that applies to real estate. And that's basically what wholesaling is in a nutshell, right? So you buy a property at a lower price, right? It has to at a lower price. Then from there, you sell it off for a little bit higher of a price, right? Depends on other factors. There are other criteria and other factors in it, but in a nutshell, that's what it is. Starting off as a new wholesaler, a couple of things that I would recommend. Yeah, absolutely. Read the book, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad. You have to have the right mindset. The mindset is the first thing that has to change. If the mindset is not there, you're not going to go anywhere, right? We live in an abundance mindset, an abundance world, right? There's an abundance of food. There's an abundance of money. There's an abundance of people. There's an abundance of resources everywhere you go. And if you look at the world in that manner, there's no stopping you, right? So, but if you're constantly, man, this is hard. Man, this is challenging. Man, this is an obstacle that continually gets in my way. Where's that thought process going to take you, right? Either way, I don't want to explore it. I don't want to know.
So definitely have or avoid the
Negativity.
scarcity mindset.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. If you avoid that scarcity mindset, you change it to an abundance mindset, your world will open up very quickly.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, it's like a snowball effect, right? First, it's very hard to get started, but then once it happens, you just start feeling it, and you see it, and it just becomes attracted to you, and so on and so forth. So, I buy into the law of attraction, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that one of the keys for it was that the mindset had to be there first, right? That's the whole thing. You have to be able to accept it.
Yes.
And that's the key. So Rich Dad Poor Dad opens up, unlocks the mind. It gets you started and primed. After that, by all means, do the research, right? Understand what wholesaling is, because there are some legal consequences, and there are some things that you have to know, some basics, right? You can't just go in there, I'll buy your house and call it good, right there, right? There is a process to it. And then just continually realize that your goals have to be a part. So those are the three things that I would say, right? Obviously, read the book. 2, learn a little bit about the process, and 3, have your goals, right? Because with your goals, it's going to initiate action.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you have goals, you write them down and you read all of the stuff and then
take action.
And you get analysis paralysis. You're not going anywhere. Right. So, but if you have your goals down and, on a daily basis, be like, I'm going to do this. 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 Eventually you will do it. So
YouTube has a lot of videos too. Great videos.
Absolutely.
A lot of local, investors, wholesalers here that have videos, podcasts that, definitely.
And what about networking?
Networking. Yeah. Networking,
especially when you're first starting.
Yeah. When you're first starting, by all means, know who's in your area.
Yeah.
Know who's in your area, who are the people that could possibly help you out, who are some of the people that have done it, that are the resources, and who are the players in the game in the area.
Okay.
Right? Because if you come into what I've found is that the more that you network and the more that you're around people that are in the same boat, the more they're willing to help you out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it all
good thing here
all
in
depends,
Phoenix.
right? Here in Phoenix, we have a different market.
Yeah, we have a different market, but the good thing is for the most part, everybody's willing to help.
Right.
Everybody's willing to collaborate. Everybody's, that's a great thing. We know a couple of the big dogs here, and they're always open to teaching. They always have free get-togethers that they send invites to.
Sometimes they provide lunch for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it's a great. We're in the Phoenix area for anybody that doesn't know, we're here in the Phoenix area, and it's great. The big dogs that are here, they love to collaborate with and help out. Help out a lot. So
and for you guys, your local ASREA is usually the one that you would look. ASREA is just a real estate investor hangout or group or meetup, right? And so local ASREA is a great resource to get started, right? You're going to learn. Those are some of the key people that provide information. A lot of the information's free. Usually the membership is very cheap, right? It's very minimal. I mean, and they usually have a couple of meetings per month, so you get to know some of the people that are in the area that are in business, that are players, and you'll find out different type of investing styles when you have some certain conversations.
Yep, that's right.
Yep,
cool.
So when you're first starting off and you're doing the research, you're starting to network. Why don't you tell us, you guys tell us about your first deal, like what you went through, how you got it, and just, a little background of it.
I'll let Albert.
You want me to go first?
Yeah,
okay.
You go first.
My first deal, well, I actually, the reason I got into real estate was because, I wanted to get into the wholesaling. And once I got into the wholesaling, I was okay, well, might as well get my license, have access to more stuff. And also be able to do, traditional real estate and whatnot. So I got my real estate license. And during that process, I kind of put wholesaling in the back, did my schooling, did all that stuff, got my license, got a broker, all that stuff, and started doing traditional real estate. Then, about a year and a half later, I was like, okay, now it's time to get back into the wholesaling. So I started doing, when I started, I was doing bandit signs, doing mailers. Then I started doing flyers, and then eventually did some virtual assistants. When about 2 years ago, I got my first deal as a wholesale client that wanted to sell a house. So I was like, okay, what do I do next? And that's when I hit up my friend George Aplicano. George, I've known George for a while too. We used to work together. This guy right here. I've known George for a while, and I had seen him on Facebook. I guess, and I always knew him as a loan officer. So I saw him, walking properties. I was like, okay, I think he's got into the real estate game. So when I got the property, I called George. I said, look, George, I got a property. What's the next step here? Help me out. We'll split the deal. And we did. We went out. We got the deal under contract. Sold the property. We made about 19,000 on it. And then from there, our relationship bloomed. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So then from there, I told him that, well, something. It seems like we're in this. We're trying to achieve a same goal. So I was like, why don't we just partner up and let's see if we can work together.
And it was good connection, man.
Yeah. So ever since then, we created Cash Now Homes. And we've been, wholesaling and actually now buying properties and fixing and flipping.
Absolutely.
Which will be another episode.
Yes.
Right. So for my first deal, I was doing loans. I was working for a big bank, the one that's in America, right? And I realized that it wasn't working, right? I was like, my 401k was there's no pension there. There's no guarantees.
Yeah.
I'm like, and my kids are about to start going to college. And I'm like, the future is that, based off of the income that I was currently producing, I was like, there's no future here, right? The only way that I can make pay for my kids' college is that I'd have to find another job as a part-time or something like that, or I'd have to do something else, right? So once again, I started noticing the lease options, all these investors and so on and so forth. Went through the Rich Dad deal, and clicked on something called wholesaling, right? I looked up, somebody had told me it was called wholesaling, and looked online and found a bunch of information, right? So when I found it, I was like, oh, it's really simple, right? Simple process. Call the seller, have them to agree to a discounted price on the property, then resell it to somebody else. Okay. It's a very, very simple process. I was like, okay, so how do I get a hold of sellers, right? So back in those days, there was FSBO.com, FSBO.com, and those are for sale by owners, right?
Yeah.
But here in the Phoenix market now, that's completely saturated. A lot of people use it for advertising, so it's very hard to find a seller there. They're still there, right? But when I went to that website and I spoke to the sellers, all of them wanted above, like 20% above market price, retail market price. So it was a very difficult conversation to have with them to try to get them to discount their property. So I was like, man, that's unfortunate, right? So I kept on going through, right? Then I went to Craigslist, right? So I went to Craigslist, and I had a search filter, right? I had a little app called if
Okay.
right? If this, then that, right? So, and what I did is I put a search criteria with Craigslist, right? So I put in motivated seller, distressed, urgent, quick, all of those keywords in there. And what it would do is it would cipher through everything inside of the Phoenix market, and it would create a lead for me. And from there, I would just call those phone numbers, right? So I dialed and dialed and dialed and dialed. I talked to a bunch of sellers, and eventually I got to one person that was finally interested in selling for what it seemed like distress. So I walked properties, so on and so forth. So when I went, got the property under contract, all of a sudden I came to the realization, like, oh no, well, what do I do now? Great, I have this contract and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so at that point in time, the networking opportunities weren't like how they are now here in Phoenix. And so I started to reach out to real estate agents. I started to reach out to just anybody that I knew within my Facebook group. I started looking at wholesale groups online, and I started bringing this deal to them and be like, hey, help, right? So I finally went to a meetup, met another investor, a good friend of mine, and he basically said, yeah, I can get this done. It's a thin deal, right? Because I got it at the wrong price. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the major issues that I had with it, because I got it at the wrong price. But the seller luckily was an investor, so he already knew kind of what the process was, so that helped. Then he was selling off his property. He just wanted to cash out. He's already 75 years old. He was like, I'm done renting out houses. This is my last renter. It needs some fixing and flipping. So I already know the process. I'm going to give it to you at a discount, but this is my price. Okay, great. So I got it under contract. I went over to my friend at the Azria, and he's like, yeah, I have some buyers, and so on and so forth. And then from there, what happened was that it was a daisy chain effect, right? So we put in our fee, then they sent it over to another wholesaler. That other wholesaler had an end buyer, and so then they put their commission on top of it. Luckily, there was enough spread that everybody got paid, but it was still a small, thin deal.
Yeah.
A thin deal, as we call it, right? So, my first deal, about $2,500 is what I made on it, but I made something.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, right? So, gladly. It took me about 60 plus calls to make that deal happen. Yeah. But it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly. And so, and then from there, just kept on doing it, walking properties. I've been, if you guys follow my Instagram, my Facebook, I tell you all my stories of my successes and my failures, and that's how Albert came into my life, and it's been rainbows since.
No, it's been a great ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So, from the actions that you took in your first deal, what are some things that you would have done differently, knowing what you know now?
Okay. So, when did you want to take this first? Okay. So when I first started off, right, it was rough.
Yeah.
It's rough, right? You're learning something new, so you have to grind it out. There's no better word for it, but you have to grind it out. You have to hustle. You have to continually talk to people, get in front of people's faces. You have to continually just be like, this is what I'm about. This is what I'm doing. And you have to make that mindset a part of who you are.
Okay.
Right. And that's what I realized. Like, it wasn't so much the phone calls, and it wasn't so much about going out and talking to sellers, and it wasn't so much about doing the activities. It was a path. They call it it was a path to get to where you needed to go. It's the price of was it?
Yeah, I get it.
Price of what was that? Was that saying?
Um,
Yeah, the cost of whatever initiation or whatever, right? So this is part of the initiation process.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to go through all that and it's not hard. It's just that one of those things is like your mentality is
The
what's
mindset.
holding, your
Yeah, the
mindset's
mindset.
holding you back,
Yeah,
right? So when you're in
exactly.
front of a seller and you don't have that abundance mindset, you're more focused on, am I going to get this deal or am I not? Versus, you know what?
And getting it at the wrong price
Right.
because you want to get the deal
Yeah.
instead of being like, well, no, that's not a deal anyways.
Right.
Yeah, you know, you got to, and you're right. You have to have that abundance mindset.
Right. And
You
so
know.
it's that whole entire process, right? So there's a cost to it. You have to pay that cost. You have to, you have to
Yeah.
make the phone calls, you have to walk the properties, you have to talk to the sellers. You have to do those things.
Yeah.
If you don't do them and all of a sudden you get your first deal easy and you think that this business is easy, then you're going to pay it later. And it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
come out worse, right? Because I know some other investors that they get their first deal, right? And then another year and a half later, they haven't done anything yet and they're out of the business.
Yep.
So but yeah, so paid the price, right? Did the phone calls and all that. So now your question was, what would I do different, right? So I started off with Craigslist. Craigslist basically cost me nothing, right? You could do the same thing on Zillow. Unfortunately, now with Zillow, they have their quick offer or something like that, so you are automatically in competition with Zillow when you call some of the sellers. So there's a couple of different ways that I would do it, right? The first thing is that you need leads. So in order for you to find distressed properties, there's this app, whatever it's an app.
Yeah.
It's an app. Excuse me. It's an app and it's called Property Radar. It costs $80, right? But off of those $80, you'll get all the foreclosures here in Maricopa County, right? And it will have phone numbers on it.
Yeah.
Right? Some of them are right, some are wrong. There's probably 6 phone numbers to each lead, but it doesn't matter. If you want to get a deal,
You're going to call.
you're going to call.
You're going to dial for dollars.
Dial for dollars, right? Exactly. So that's what I would do different, because then from there my chances of getting a deal would increase. So I would do that first and then just get on the phones. Right. You'll learn about scripts. You'll learn about sales process. You'll learn about all that stuff later. But get on the phones, because that's the first uncomfortable part of doing this business. Right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then now we have different techniques and strategies to get deals and so on. But the reality of it is that you need to have those conversations with sellers, because you're never going to avoid that.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. For sure.
All right.
Awesome. Cool.
Would you do anything differently with your first deal
Well, I mean,
besides exclude George?
okay,
I'm just kidding.
Okay, there's nothing to talk about. No, when I got into the wholesaling, it was even before I got my real estate license.
Okay.
So, I was working in one of the big banks, and I said, okay, I'm gonna start the wholesaling. So I started.
Is that the one in Fargo?
No,
it's
not that
the
one.
in Fargo. Is that the one that you have to kind of chase around?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So I started doing the wholesaling, and while I was doing bandit signs and mailers, and I said I got my real estate license to, I guess, get more access to the whole real estate, MLS, comms, all that stuff. And then something? I mean, I just put in the time, I guess. I wish I could have known a lot of the stuff that I know now back then.
So maybe a little bit more research.
Right? Yeah.
Even though you probably did quite a bit, a little bit more would have helped
Yeah.
your first deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the things about it was that I did bandit signs as well.
Mm-hmm.
I did bandit signs. I did cold calls. I did door knocking. I did all of those things. And the funny thing is that one of the things that helped me was that I got with an investor that already knew their stuff, and they already had their trial and error, and they were kind of teaching me what was going on. So that's also the way that
would have been another.
So finding a
there you go.
mentor
Finding
would
a
definitely
mentor, right?
would help.
there you
Okay.
go.
But the mentor has to be open to it, right?
Yes.
And so it's one of those things, right?
Well, it's not like you're going to force a mentor to
Right,
do something.
exactly.
And it's gotta be. I mean, at the same time, it's gotta be a win-win for
Everyone.
for everyone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so and it's funny, right? Doing the bandit signs.
Yeah.
What was your experience with the bandit signs?
You know something? I didn't really get anything with the bandit signs. I got more stuff from the mailers.
Yeah,
The mailers, I did just regular mailers, and then I did the mailers that like it's like there's a package waiting for you. Those that first deal that we got, that I partnered up with you, was from a mailer.
from a mailer.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So
Right.
they called me, and but bandit size, I had no success.
Yeah, I had so with my bandit signs as well. We didn't. I realized my mistake back in the day was that I didn't put enough. Right. So
Yeah.
I put out like 300 bandit signs, and I got like 4 phone calls, all of them to take down the sign. So, but yeah, I realized nowadays it's like, okay, no, I wasn't 400. I need 4,000, right?
Yeah.
4,000 in order for
definitely.
those bandit signs. It's the numbers.
Yeah. It
So,
is.
you know,
Yeah.
but once again, those things cost money, right? And if you're new to
Yeah.
wholesaling,
Yep.
chances are you don't have a lot of money to invest. All of the strategies work, right?
Yes.
So bandit
Yeah.
signs work,
Mhm.
right? RVMs work, which is a ringless voicemail. That works. Text magic works. All that stuff works. Cold calling, all of it works, right? You just got to put the time in.
Yeah.
Every single one of them have a cost to it, and that cost is always time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So now, if you're
So
new,
whichever avenue you're working on, the more focus you put towards it, the
Right.
more it's going to work.
Yeah,
right,
sure.
exactly,
So-
right, and then you'll realize throughout that process there's things that are more effective than others,
Yeah.
right, and so you eliminate some of those things and you start streamlining your processes, right. But yeah, if you're like a new wholesaler, I mean, like I said, property radar, go in, get those foreclosures, start calling on those foreclosures, right. Once you start talking to them, go to their property, go to their properties, start door knocking, start walking their properties, and see what you can do for them to help them out. That's one thing. The second thing is that if from that property radar data, get the ones that are in your neighborhood and walk by those twice a week, right, at different hours.
Yeah.
Drive by them. It's not going to cost you a lot of money or a lot of time just to drive by those houses, see who they are. Based off of the tax records, you're already going to know their name. And then you go up, knock on their door, and and just introduce yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So once and then go from there.
Yeah, I've done the door knocking with real estate as well.
Yeah.
So
It's
You
fun,
gotta-
isn't it?
yeah,
In Arizona during the summer.
Yes, I did do it during the summer too. I have pictures of it too.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's just, I guess, once you do it once, after that, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Once you get that.
Yep.
Once you get it out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
becomes easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do we want to go from here?
cool.
Let's go. Well, luckily I have things written down.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
All right, so let me just kind of finish off with the door knocking, right? So one of the things that you can do when you're actually in front of a seller is that, especially, so say for example, you get the foreclosure list, you call the sellers, they don't answer, it's right down the street from your house, you go and you knock on the door, right? One of the things is if they answer the door, you don't want to be in there and go, I'm going to buy your house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You don't. You're going to be a manifestation of their problem. Right, and
Yeah,
they're
very
in a
true.
foreclosure. They're in a foreclosure for a reason, right? They either can't make the payments. They're some sort of life event has happened, and something is causing pain, right? So when you go and you knock on that door, you don't wanna automatically be the solution to their problem because they're gonna automatically have a defense. So a couple of things that you can do to deflect that, right, is that one of the first things, and my favorite thing, is always like, well, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to buy.
But yeah,
Right? That's an automatic deflection. Oh, you're here to buy? Okay, well, let's talk. Buy what, right? All of a sudden, when you talk about their house, then there might be more defenses that you have to go down, right? Another thing is that when a way to take down their defenses is that you go in, well, I'm working for a local investor.
mm-hmm.
I'm working for a local investor. He's buying houses in the area. Do you know if any of your neighbors are interested in selling their house? Right? And then they'll be like, oh, okay, well, I think Sandy down the street might be interested in selling your house. Okay, great. Can you tell me a little bit about her? Oh, I don't know. She has like 3 kids and her husband, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. They get into the whole story
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
them and this and that. And they'll be like, hey, have you ever thought about selling yours? Oh, no, I'm not interested in selling mine. Oh, okay, well that's fine. Well, if you do anytime in the future, here's my information. Blah blah blah. After that, after you let it go for some odd reason, they come back and they tell you, oh yeah, you know what? I thought about it, but what would happen if I actually wanted to sell my house?
Yeah.
And it's a strange dance. It's a strange dance, but the more you let go of a deal, the more it comes back to you. I don't understand how that works. Once again, abundance, but
It seems like you're not being confrontational, so you're letting them bring their defenses down and opening the idea to them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And you'll get those people that are like just not having it, but it's fine. And make sure that when you do go door knock, you have some sort of contact information, a flyer, a business card,
Yeah,
or
you don't
something on there. You don't want to. You want to make sure that you take advantage of every opportunity that you have. So when you go over there, they're not home. All right, leave the flyer, right? And then every 2 weeks, come back, see if the flyer's still there. If the flyer is gone, that means that they're living there. Right, and then you just put it back up there again, right?
Yeah.
Eventually they'll either call you, or if not, the house will just go and be up for sale. So, but yeah, that's kind of the free way of doing it, and that's you're gonna have more success with those foreclosures than you will
mailer or
any other way or whatever, right?
Yep.
So next thing is some of the good things about wholesaling.
Sure.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Plus and minuses. Pros
Tell
and
us,
cons.
George.
Oh yes, by all means. Let me go ahead and read this for you. So pros and cons, right? So you can make good money, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
that's the reason why we're all here, right? You make good money, and what I found is that the money's good, it's great. The thing is that this is a vehicle that leads to other paths.
Yeah.
Right.
Agree.
And then that's kind of why we got into business, because we were realizing, well, we're making good money, right? So what are we going to do with the rest of our money, right? Let's reinvest it.
Yep.
Let's reinvest it in our company. Let's reinvest it in ourselves. Let's reinvest it in properties and things like that. And so this becomes a vehicle to other things. And so, and I've done things that I've never thought I would ever do, right? I've raised capital.
Yeah.
Raise capital. I've online courses and just like things that make you uncomfortable. The growth in who you are.
Yeah.
That's where
You
it
have to
leads
get out
to.
of your
So
comfort zone.
Yes.
yeah,
for
exactly.
That's
And so
for sure.
that's what this business has actually. That's where the magic is. I mean, that's one of the good things. Yeah. So the money's great, but it's just a byproduct.
Yeah.
Right. It's a byproduct of the value that you bring to people. So, then the relationships that you build. Right.
Yeah.
So with networking and some of the people that we know in our
Especially
industry.
here, like I was saying earlier, especially here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to give back, collaborate and give back, and so it's great.
Yeah, man. The people that we've met, they're amazing. They're amazing. Some of the investors that we know, they're just. It's an amazing group, and it's one of those things that you see everybody's success, you share their success.
Yeah.
And one of our buddies or whatever, he got his a plaque from another investor, because his goals was to make 100 millionaires.
Okay.
100 millionaires, right? He got his plaque, one of 100.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, dude, it was
Nice.
awesome, man. Yeah, so
That
shout
is
out.
amazing.
So it's amazing, but that's the group that we that we have,
and they're,
right?
and they're all like they work separately, but then and like they say it a lot. It's not competition; it's a collaboration.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. We get together,
And that's having an abundant mindset.
right? We go further together than we do apart.
Yep.
Right? We make more money together than we do apart,
I agree.
and it's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So you want to talk about some of the bad things, some of the
bad things,
some of the cons?
It's actual work.
Oh, you want me to talk about the cons?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
So,
actual work.
So it is. Like I was saying earlier, don't get.
This isn't easy money.
Yeah,
No,
but
you don't have that mindset that it is.
yeah, but it's worth it. It is good money. It is worth it. And like I said earlier, there's so much stuff out there that says, come to our thing, and and sometimes it's people from TV that have a show, here, and they're not even there. It's basically selling you a course.
Right.
I'm not saying that they're all bad. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying do your own research.
Right.
That's a big, thing that you got to do with the wholesale.
Don't get distracted by the shiny things.
Right.
Yes,
By the shiny
exactly.
object. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's for me. That's one of the biggest ones. Is don't get distracted by the shiny things. Really good way to say it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's certain people that you would right now. Information is once again, we're in abundance mindset, right? So information is available everywhere.
Yeah.
You just got to look for it, right?
Most of it is free.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of it is free, right? So you can find contracts online. You can find title companies. You can find all the
Title
information.
companies will help you with a lot of stuff.
Right.
Yep.
You can find everything online. All your resources are online, right? So there's no real need to pay anybody to do this. I'm saying this now, right? But hey, we might have a conference soon. Just joking. Right, there's gurus out there and so on and so forth. They'll help you and they'll guide you because they give a lot of their information for free at the beginning, right? But at the end of the day, they want you to pay for their education and so on and so forth. The majority of it is available.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking the gurus, right? Because
Well, obviously they're doing something right. That's why they are.
exactly.
That's why they're doing it,
Exactly.
right? If you're able to make somebody money, right, they'll pay you to go ahead and do it. So, but some of the cons in regards to this, right? So you're helping solve a problem. So for me, the biggest thing is always in regards to the sellers, right? You're helping to solve their problem, and with that, there comes a lot of other things, right? It comes their families, it comes other relationships that they have within their circle, within their sphere of influence. There's all kinds of title issues, and there's all kinds of other things that happen with these types of properties, right? Because you're buying a distressed home. It's a stress for a reason, right? Either they haven't made payments or they haven't made the repairs or something, right? So either way, you're a solution to that, and you're going to help provide that solution. But along with it comes other things that happen,
of course.
right? So and then that's part of it, right? So you have to just be aware you're going to be taking on those responsibilities, and that's what they're going to be looking to you, and that's why you get paid, because that's the value that you bring.
Yep.
Right. So those are some of the cons, because there are things you're going to be in constant contact with the seller. There's certain things that they may not know, right? Like, oh, you have an HOA violation. What are you talking about? Well, you never pulled out the weeds in the front of your house for 2 years, so they taxed you on it, right? And there's fees associated with it, right? So you gotta call the HOA, and you have to get a payoff, right? You have to contact title. Title will call you to get the payoff, and so on and so forth. Sometimes it's not that easy, and then a lot of times they may not even want to do it. Yeah. Because they're done with the property, and they're like, here, you take care of it, and they may not want to do it. You know, I've been on conference calls to try to get payoffs. Yeah. Right. It happens.
Yeah.
So, but just be aware. You have to be willing to take that step, right? And like I said, right. What would you, if I had to pay you $1 million, if I had to pay you $1 million to do this, would you do it? Right. And then the answer should be yes. Yes. Right. So that's in my mindset every single time. Whenever I do something, that's my answer.
Smart. Yeah.
If somebody paid me $1 million to do this, would I do it?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Insert joke at this point right now, right? Insert some sort of right.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. So some things to watch out for. Yeah. Right? Yeah. What do you have to
that's I mean, you're always gonna have you're not always gonna have that, but you have title issues also with regular traditional real estate properties. I mean, sometimes, but with traditional, the sellers, for the most part, they already know. Yeah. With a distressed property, they could have gotten it, and you mentioned some good points. They can't fix it. They don't have the money to fix it. There's liens, and also other ones are, sometimes people inherit properties. Somebody passed away, unfortunately, and they inherited the property, and maybe that person was never paying the HOA. There's so many things that can go wrong. once you get the contract. You
Right.
know,
The
so,
unknown.
Yeah, the
You
unknown.
need to be
exactly.
ready to face the unknown.
Exactly.
Right. You have to be ready. Right.
Sometimes you have to go through probate.
Right. The probate
Probate
deal.
deals. You know, there's we've gone through those, and they're easy ones, and then there's difficult ones.
Right.
You know, so it all depends. But yeah, those are your cons. Is you don't really know once you get the contract. There's so much more after that.
Right. You don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
And that's, especially if you're starting out, you have no idea
Yeah, so-
what some of the stuff is in the background.
Exactly. So, and especially if you have not, if jumping into wholesaling is your first thing about real estate. You know, luckily we've been in the mortgage industry. So we have a background. If you're jumping new into it and you've never dealt with title, lenders and stuff like that, this is a good way to learn it actually.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. And so then, yeah, I mean, that probate and what probate is that somebody passed away and then without a will, and then so title has to figure out where does that property go to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Children,
who
owns
we
it?
we had a seller that they didn't have the money to pay for it, right? They didn't have the money to make it go through the courts,
Yeah.
so that it can be reverted back, right?
So we had the contacts
we had
help them through that
the
process.
ability to do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, one of the things also as well is like inventory, right? So what will happen is that we created a pipeline, and what happens is that some deals are thinner than other, right? And some deals they call them fat deals. Some are thinner,
Thin deals.
right? Some are thin deals. So what ends up happening is that you'll get properties, and once you have that contract, you may not be able to sell it right away. Right, you want to avoid that at all costs, right? So do your homework ahead of time. If you're able to, get that property at a discounted price right from the very get-go, that means you're going to get paid if you got the right price.
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes the right price is unknown because it depends on the market.
Yeah.
So what happens is that, so say for example you get a contract and all of a sudden, you don't, it's not selling to the 2 or 3 people that that are investors. What do you do at that point, right? So one of the things that really helped us out at the very beginning was that we reached out to all of our network.
Yeah.
Right. We reached out to them. We were like, hey, we have this deal. We have this deal. We have this deal. And eventually, people were like, oh, yeah, I can make this work. Or, yeah, I got this. Or, you know what? If you can reduce that one down by $5,000, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Or I have somebody that will buy it. But you got to make sure we got to do this. You got to do that. So on and so forth. But they'll give you ideas that you never even thought possible. So even the knowledge.
Yeah.
So that what happens is that, okay, so it may not work on this deal, but on this deal over here, which is the one that's right around the corner, they'll help out on, or they'll do it, or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, now I know exactly what I can do.
Okay.
So things like that. It's just the knowledge that you get back is just, that's rewarding.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, you guys ready to wind it down a little bit, or
Wind it
you have
down.
more?
No, let's wind it down.
Yeah, let's wind it down. The last thing that I had was goals.
That leads into us winding it down. So,
Right.
something that you should do as a beginner in the wholesale. What are things that someone should do?
Okay.
You just mentioned goals.
Right. So just so that I can reiterate, right?
Yeah.
The first thing is rich dad, poor dad, right? The second thing is look up what wholesaling is and all the just the baseline information on that. And the third thing is your goals. Okay.
Yeah.
I write my goals down every single day, and throughout the whole entire time when I started, I focused on them 100%, because if I didn't hit my goals, it was one of those things. It takes me one step away from where I need to be.
Yeah.
Right. So if I write them every single day and I kill those goals for the day, I am exactly where I need to be. Right. So goals are very important. Right.
Yeah.
When you're starting off, you're not going to know what those goals are. You as far as monetarily, you may know, right? But how to get there and the paths to get there is where the struggle is, right? So I made it very easy on myself when I first started. I was like, okay, well then, all right, my goal is X number of dollars. In order for me to do that, I need to have at least 20 conversations today, right? I can easily have 20 conversations.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then from there, knocked off those 20 conversations. I knew that within 1 week of 20 conversations, 20 times 5, boom, right? And it actually comes out to 20 times 7. But by the end of that week, I know I've already accomplished something.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm one step closer towards my monetary goals.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah, those 3 things right there will get you. It will create a solid foundation for where you want to be in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Albert?
What about goals?
Goals. Well, my goals
Or having a mindset, like what?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, definitely having the mindset. I think that's a important having the mindset because honestly, in this business, you're gonna get shut down, rejected, and everything on a constant basis. You gotta take that out of your head and move on to the next. The people say it's a numbers game. It is a numbers game. The more people you call, the more people you market out to, the more stuff you do, the more deals you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So definitely the mindset, and I would say have a good sales.
Like a script.
Yeah, scripts. I would say
Sales process,
but scripts and practice when you're practice back and forth with your teammates or what.
Okay.
Role playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we every single time we go out with a seller, it's never the same conversation.
It's
never the same conversation, and it's always
so you gotta be prepared for that.
Drill your process down.
Yeah.
Stick to it when you're with a client or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I took away from you guys is it's more of a motivational thing. So find someone that is motivational that you can follow or just get some, not feedback, but like just inspiration from.
Yeah.
There are motivational speakers out there that, they talk and are religious about setting their goals, writing them down every single day.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Other ones where they're always talking about the mentality that you have and keeping a positive mindset, an abundance mindset. So I would recommend, finding someone that would help you with that. And yeah, I mean, do you have any other final words?
No, I'm good.
That's why I take it you're just done with this.
No, I'm good. I mean,
Yeah.
So and just to piggyback on, I will have a final word, and I seem to talk a lot. The scarcity mindset's not going to get you anywhere.
Nope.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that we've mentioned mindset already quite a bit on this podcast.
But it's a big part.
Because it's a big part, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not at that right mindset, you're not going to go there, right?
Yeah.
So mindset and actions are going to be the 2 things that go hand in hand, right? We're creating our culture to be abundance mindset, right? It has to be a part of it because deals are going to come and go, and we've realized that deals they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're more than I had ever even imagined that there could be.
Yep.
And so then deals are never the issue, right? It's the issue of okay, which ones are going to be the ones that best suit your needs and what's going to propel you closer towards your goals.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mindset, as we're winding this down, we are looking for investors. So if you know somebody or you are an investor, you're looking for a property of something, reach out to us. We're also looking to gain capital. So if you are a capital investor and you're looking into investing money into something, Cash Now Homes, feel free, reach out. It's something that we're always looking for because, just trying to work together with everyone.
Right.
George, if you could read the promos off and we'll end it there.
Yeah. All right. So first one is brought to you by Cash Now Homes. Buy or sell a home fast in less than 7 days. Call 602-975-3920 or go to Cash Now Homes. It's cnhphoenix.com. And we're making your home goals possible. So Expanse Real Estate team, looking for your next dream house to buy or sell, contact Expanse Real Estate team at gmail.com. If you're looking for studio time to record a podcast, stand-up act, joke writing, or social media filming, that would be here.
Yes.
Absurd broadcasting at gmail.com for special prices and to schedule today. So custom shirts, decals, and other items and personal needs, check out Redhead Printing on Facebook, redheadprinting@gmail.com. Use Amigos and save 10% on your next order.
Thank you, George,
We
for
good?
that.
Awesome.
Yes.
No, thank you. Thank you, guys. Mahalo.
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 Mahalo.